This is a strange one. It's the first time I've driven a Mazda MX-5 that isn't a race car, isn't a flying Miata V8 conversion, and isn't fully loaded. Let's go for a drive. If you're new to the channel, I'm your host, Brian Max, racing driver, and I've raced a bunch of Miatas and MX-5s over the years, done well in them, and crashed pretty hard in one, and I'd do it again. Now, this MX-5 is now in its 4th generation, and it is as light and as small as ever, and as Lotus and Colin Chapman espoused for the road cars, lightness is better, isn't it? As I mentioned off the top, this is a base model MX-5 and I'm excited to drive it. No limited slip diff, no big brakes, no big seats from Recaro, and the best part, no leather upholstery. This is perhaps the classic recipe for a roadster, so pay attention. Powering the MX-5 is Mazda's Skyactiv G, 2-liter 16-valve 4-cylinder that makes 181 horsepower at 7,000 RPM, so you have to work for it, and 151 pounds of torque at 4,000 RPM. Now, before we get too far, Skyactiv G actually means something. The name refers to Mazda's development of this line of engine, which is defined by a couple of key factors, but most importantly, it's the high compression ratio, which in this car is 13:1, and how they've achieved that is actually fairly interesting. First is the shape of the piston, and second is the longer runners on the exhaust manifold. Those two things, among other factors, combine to reduce knock for such a high compression ratio engine. Thankfully, this engine is paired to a 6-speed manual transmission, although there is a 6-speed automatic available. I have no idea who would actually fit that to their MX-5, and I honestly wonder what the take rate is on that. I'm sure someone out there actually knows. This transmission is comprehensively engineered. Lightweighting, efficiency, and shift feel were the name of the game when they developed this gearbox. Because this is a base car, that means there's an open diff, not a limited slip diff like some of the other MX-5s, and we're gonna see how that drives. It may be a key consideration for me because the last time I drove one of these, it was the Club, which had that limited slip diff in it. The suspension uses AA arms up front, multi-link at the rear, and putting it all together is a set of simple shim stack style dampers. In the era of massively heavy cars and massive brakes with pizza-sized rotors and calipers the size of toasters, this MX-5 uses a refreshingly simple set of brakes. 280 mil rotors all around with single piston calipers all around. Because this is a Canadian spec car, you see it rolls on 17s with 205/45 17s. In the US, you get a 16-inch wheel and tire package. Personally, that's what I'd prefer, and I suspect the Canadian product planners know that they'll sell more MX-5s if they roll on 17s. Inside the cockpit, we're blessed with cloth seats. Yay freaking me. Thank you, Mazda, for doing this. We need cars with cloth seats. Thank you. Now, this is perhaps the lightest thing I've driven since maybe the goofy Polaris Slingshot, and it weighs just over 1,000 kilos or 2,300 pounds. That is less than half the weight of the Dodge Durango SRT we drove last week. Think about that for a second. It's that time in the episode for How to Spec Your MX-5. In the United States, base price is $26,580. Here in Canada, it's $33,100. And if you ask me, those prices are a bargain, but that's not what we're here to talk about. First, a quick lesson in product planning. Here in Canada, as I mentioned, the base wheel and tire package is a 17. And in the United States, you only get a 16, which I would actually prefer, but that's another story for another day. As well, here in Canada, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are standard, and as far as I understand, that's not the case in the United States. That said, the only option fitted to this tester, other than the splitter guards, is the Soul Red Crystal paint, and I hope I can convey in this piece how beautiful this paint is. It's just gorgeous. In the United States, the price is $595 for the paint, putting this as-tested price at $27,175. Here in Canada, the paint is $495, and as-tested is $33,550. Thus, the question is, how do you spec your MX-5? Well, if you're not a track rat, don't need the limited slip diff, don't need the Brembo brakes, don't need the Recaro seats, among other things, then this is exactly what you need. Soul Red Crystal paint, cloth seats, done, enjoy the drive. As this is a proper roadster, the cockpit was designed around the driver, and it is just about the essentials. It's very simple and straightforward interface here. Mazda, in that last refresh, engineered a little bit of adjustment in the steering column, and it's not that much. It's the tiniest bit, and I'd like to think that they could have done a little bit better. Every time I drive an ND, I like to think that Mazda could have gotten the seat just a little bit lower, another inch or two closer to the floor. It is a roadster after all, and you are sitting on the ground, but I just love this seat to be a little bit lower in this chassis. Speaking of the seats, they are cloth, they are wonderful, and they're modestly supportive and very comfortable, at least for me. And even at my advanced age, I'm not suffering from any back pain, and took this on a road trip, and this was exceptionally comfortable. Really love these seats, especially since they're upholstered in cloth. And of course, leave it to Mazda to have a very cool little touch, and that is speakers in the headrests, which are exceptionally useful when you're having phone calls in this MX-5. The pedal box is laid out just perfectly. Heel and toe is easy, and there's a wonderful solid dead pedal for your left foot. In a car like the MX-5, it's not just about visibility, and let me tell you why. Sure, you can see everything, and when the top is down, you've got nearly 360 degrees of visibility, but when the top is down, you can actually use other senses, like your hearing, to determine where other cars are on the road. For that reason, and wind noise at speed, I prefer the Roadster to the RF. The cockpit possesses less storage than the smallest subcompact available on the market. There is no glove box. That's sort of the glove box there, and there's a little bit of storage. There's a little bit of storage here. There are no door pockets, and the rest of the storage goes in the trunk, which takes maybe one carry-on size piece of luggage and one backpack like I've got going on right now. The MX-5's ergonomics are defined by simplicity, and first and second level controls are just really straightforward, very simple and intuitive. The infotainment system, on the other hand, is only redeemed by the fact that it's got Apple CarPlay. With 181 horsepower and 2,300 pounds to motivate, this is not a rocket ship, but no, this is not about blistering acceleration. The MX-5 is all about driving pleasure. You see, in the real world, it's really a question about mass, and there's not a lot here, so this will change direction quickly, and you can get through traffic very quickly if that's your kind of thing. As I suspected, the open diff makes a little difference in the MX-5. At least for me, in the dry, putting power down is completely drama-free. It's never been an issue, unless of course you go all Vin Diesel ham-fisted on the car. The ND is really transformed by this new engine spec from the last refresh, and the best part is all of that horsepower is right up top, and all 7,500 RPM are entirely usable. There's no point in beating a dead horse about this shifter. Throws are short, gates are well defined, and just feels great shifting. As well, clutch feel is excellent, and that just rounds out the vibe here. The rest of the driving experience is all about great feedback. chassis feel, brake feel, steering feel is all very high fidelity, high quality. And to me, chassis feel feedback is a solid 9 out of 10. What I will say about the brake pedal, even though you've got great control and great feedback, it's just not as positive as the Brembos are. Otherwise, with the steering and the brakes, you can place this Mazda on a proverbial dime. There isn't much power here, so you're not going to be changing the attitude with the throttle, that's for sure. And that's because the point of this car is lightness and overall balance. What's interesting, and I think it's because most cars are the opposite today, but Mazda's engineers let the suspension do the actual work. You can feel the roll, the dive, the squat, and it's a wonderful thing because communication from the car is so good. On top of that, the dampers do a great job controlling that suspension movement. I can't say enough good things about the tuning of this base suspension. It's really excellent. What's most impressive with this MX-5 is that it changes direction so effortlessly, and that's just because of its lack of mass. Sure, you can have a Roadster with a greater power-to-weight ratio, but it'll never be as good as this. I don't think there's another Roadster out there that is as responsive to your inputs or as well connected to the driver as an MX-5. My verdict, let's start with fuel consumption, and this is a strange one. I don't know how I did it, but I averaged 31 miles per gallon. This isn't even broken in. It's a brand new MX-5, and somehow me and this MX-5 averaged 31 miles per gallon, and I'm not light on the throttle, so congrats to me, congrats to this MX-5. Who knew it would be efficient? Now, if you're looking for a Roadster experience, this is as pure as you're going to get. Its lightness, its responsiveness, its simplicity are unparalleled. It's absolutely rewarding to drive and very satisfying to drive. Simply put, the MX-5 is a winner. Thanks for hanging out with me today and having a look at this 2020 Mazda MX-5. Hope you liked this piece, and if you did, well, you're not new to YouTube. You know what to do. Smash the subscribe button, turn on your notifications, and share this. Tell your friends, and especially share this on Reddit. That helps us out tremendously. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. As well, if you really want to support the channel, well, hit up our merch store. Links here, links below. You can get some awesome Save the Manuals merch like this shirt, or even a face mask if you live in a place where you have to wear face masks like I do. Anyway, thanks again for watching. We'll see you again next time.